What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a brand new Madden 25 realistic rebuild of the New Orleans Saints, where we have at minimum of 5, maximum of 10 seasons to try and take arguably the worst roster situation in the NFL and build it into a Super Bowl contender. The New Orleans Saints have just announced that former Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator, Super Bowl champion, Kellen Moore is going to be their next head coach. Last team to get a new coach. I think it's reflective of their current roster situation. I've had dozens of Saint fans reach out, be it YouTube comments, be on other social media, saying, C4, what's your vibes on this? As a Saint fan, what are we getting in Kellen Moore? To downplay it a little bit as an Eagle fan, I feel like we've lost our offensive coordinator after our last 3 Super Bowls. We lost Frank Reich after we won in 2017. We lost Shane Steichen after we lost to the Chiefs a couple years ago, and now we lose Kellen Moore. And I'd probably put Kellen Moore at number 3 on that list of worry, of fearfulness of our team going forward. But I think that's probably more so to the fact that he was one and done here. We don't really have multiple years of success with Kellen Moore. We don't really have multiple years of seeing how he can develop players and how his schemes evolved. It still was kind of a question mark necessarily of like, what for sure imprint did Kellen Moore have on the offense? And honestly, we might not even see a difference until next season while he's not here. But if I had to say a positive of Kellen Moore, is that at 2-2, so Philadelphia went on an absolute tear after that. I felt like Kellen Moore adjusted his offense to the strengths of the Eagles roster. We ran a lot more Saquon Barkley, play action pass, and I believe the top strength in an offensive coach is to get the most out of your players. Not to say that Kellen Moore, now as a head coach, isn't going to try and add players for his scheme, which I think long-term will likely be the plan. But I think for what he is inheriting right away in New Orleans, I'm going to guess that this offense is going to be better than expected, because I think Kellen Moore showed in Philadelphia that when you give him and you show him the tools that he's working with, when he knows that his quarterback's going to be Derek Carr, he's going to have Alvin Kamara, he's going to have Chris Olave, and he's going to have a pretty solid offensive line. I think offensively, he's going to find a way to maximize these guys' talents. Now, the talent on this roster is not the best, so even maximizing this talent, maybe you flirt with a 500 season, given the state, and hopefully we do a lot of work this offseason relating to free agency and the draft to improve the aspirations of this team going into 2025. But if I had to say one big positive for Kellen Moore, is I think he'll get the most out of the Saints offense next season. Looking at this offense, one thing we're going to do right away, because our roster is in such dire straits, Ryan Ramczyk, from everything that I looked at, is leaning towards retirement. And if we're going to make this rebuild a little more difficult and as realistic as possible, I feel like taking our second highest rated offensive player and having him retire makes the most sense. I mean, it's just one of those things where it looks like he's going to retire. If I don't retire him and he plays 3-4 seasons, I'm not giving you an authentic Saints rebuild, because he's an outstanding player. But it looks like his injury is going to be too much to overcome. And a very, very good right tackle for the last 5-6 years for the Saints is moving on. And the guy you have to replace him is a first-round bust. On top of that, before we get into the rest of the roster previews, it was not a particularly forgiving start to this rebuild for the Saints. So on top of doing the right thing and having Ryan Ramczyk retire, which it looks like he's likely going to do anyways, the good news is we got some salary cap space. The bad news is we are losing 3 of probably the top 5 players on this team. Now, Taysom Hill is a lot better in real life than he is in Madden, but he is retired after 8 years. Good news, that's a lot of money. Demario Davis is one of the most reliable, consistent linebackers in the league. He was like an 89 superstar or something like that. He retires after 13 years. And then Cam Jordan, who, is he on the Mount Rushmore of New Orleans Saints? If not, he's certainly pretty close. Has retired after 14 years, and they've tried bringing in replacements for Cam Jordan. Now, I don't know how realistic all these retirements are going to be for this year in real life. You might get one, you might get all these guys returning, but we're going to embrace the challenge of losing 4 of our top players, because at bare minimum, it helps kind of kickstart this rebuild and give us a little bit of breathing room on the worst salary cap situation in the NFL. So breaking down this New Orleans Saints offense with no more Taysom Hill or Ryan Ramczyk, I think the good is still, there's some nice pieces here that I think we could build around. Fuaga at left tackle was a very, very solid pick in the first round last year. You have Eric McCoy, who's the highest rated player on this offense. He still has his best football ahead of him in his prime. Ruiz, 79 with the depth rate. We'll absolutely will take it. But right tackle and left guard are kind of obvious positions that we need to upgrade. You got Juwan Johnson, who's a solid tight end. Not nearly as versatile or electrifying as Taysom Hill, and he's pretty much at his ceiling, but he's serviceable and might get himself a contract extension in the near future. Wide receivers, you have Chris Olave, who at least in this rebuild, you don't really have to worry about the concussion concerns. I know he's had a couple scary moments there, but when he is on the field, the talent is certainly there. 87 superstar, maybe a little bit rich. Will he pull that rating in next year's Madden? I have my doubts, but we're not going to complain one bit because this is a talent-starved team, and being able to at least kind of rely on Olave is a pillar of this rebuild for the foreseeable future, if not for the outright all 10 years, is a nice piece to have. You got Rashid Shaheed, great deep threat. MVS is there. But, I mean, honestly, when Bub Beans is like your next in line in terms of age and upside, you probably need to address your skill positions a little bit. Speaking of, Alvin Kamara, still awesome, still does his role very, very well. Do-it-all weapon, pass game, run game. He's also at like that death spot for a running back. He's 30 years old, superstar dev, 84. But next year, if we keep for another year, he's probably going to be like a 77 star. And that's just simply because he's getting older, not necessarily a reflection of where and how much value he still currently can bring to a Saints team. But for this rebuild, it does feel like as long as we possibly can, as long as the salary cap will allow us to, Alvin Kamara would be a pretty cool player to see retire a Saint the same way we saw with Demario Davis and Cam Jordan. Derek Carr at quarterback. I mean, there's not a huge discrepancy between Carr and Rattler, so we could have a decision to make. I got to look at the salary cap numbers for Derek Carr. If we can get out of his contract, that might be in our team's best interest. But I think sooner or later, we are going to have a serious discussion about who's going to be the quarterback of the future. Do we have this draft, next draft? What year are we going to look to try and find a franchise quarterback for the Saints? I have a plan kind of in my head, but will it plan out? Not exactly sure. You might know by the thumbnail, but as of me recording right now, we'll see. We will wait and see. The defense, big losses. Cam Jordan gone. Demario Davis gone. The linebackers like Warner's solid. Willie Gay's a role player, but ultimately, you don't love the linebacking room. You look at the safeties. You got Honey Badger, one of my favorite players of all time, going back to his days at LSU. But the fact of the matter is, his best football is behind him, and likely a retirement candidate next year. The secondary, you got the Cookie Monster. Alante Taylor had a productive season. You got Kool-Aid McKinstry in the draft, and Paulson Adebo, after trading away Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders, kind of gave you an idea of like where this Saints roster kind of views itself as they are heading towards a very, very significant rebuild. But I do think these three corners, they could be here for a minute. I think there's definitely an upside for these guys to continue to grow. You have Chase Young, who signed like kind of a rental deal, and I think now with the retirement of Cam Jordan in this first year zero of the rebuild, that kind of adds a little bit of priority to keep Chase Young. We have a little bit extra money to maybe offer him a competitive offer. Brian Breesy finally having a breakout year. He was an outstanding defensive tackle at Clemson, former 5-star recruit. He definitely is a guy that I'm circling on this defense. Likely him and Kool-Aid McKinstry. At minimum, that will be here for the foreseeable future and be like key pivotal guys we try to build around. You have Granderson, who's pretty much at his ceiling, all things considered. You have Foskey and Turner, considerably high draft picks that just have not panned out, unfortunately, for the Saints. So there's a mixed bag on this defense, but there are a couple potentially pivotal pieces, which is great because it's not like we're starting with a completely blank slate. We have some dudes. A very quick stat recap from the 2024 season. Derek Carr, I actually didn't know he had that good of a touchdown-interception ratio. Not bad. And he battled with injury, so if he would have played, every single game this year, would he have had a stat line that makes you feel like, all right, he very much could fill in as that bridge quarterback mentor. Rattler has probably a little bit more upside, but he's a volatile quarterback that has always struggled with turnovers in college, but he still has undeniable traits. I just don't know if we're ever going to really have an opportunity to develop Spencer Rattler. We will figure that out. Alvin Kamara, just under 1,000 yards, had 6 touchdowns. He also was able to chip in as probably the most dynamic receiver on this Saints team with another 500 yards and 2 touchdowns on almost 70 catches. Johnson with a decent season for a tight end, but the fact that, Olave just couldn't stay healthy and like no one else was really able to step up in the wide receiver room, and a lot of these guys were in and out of the lineup with injuries. There's just not a whole lot we can report or even key in on there from our receiving numbers. Pete Warner was the leading tackler. Alontae Taylor had a hell of a year, man. Gadget, slot, weapon, 89 tackles, 7 TFLs, 4 sacks, 16 PBUs. Just an absolute playmaker for the defense. I was kind of hoping just from like a Madden sim standpoint, he'd get off that normal dev to a star. Off of these stats, he probably was close, but no cigar. 7.5 sacks for Brian Breezy, who's, you can make that argument from an interior pass rusher standpoint, one of the best young interior pass rushers in the NFL. 5.5 sacks from Granderson, not really living up to his contract. Chase Young with 5.5, which we need to kind of consider that a little bit when it comes to contract extensions in case he wants a big-time payday. Didn't really earn it this season. And our interception numbers, 3 from the Honey Badger, 3 from Adebo, but ultimately nothing too crazy. So honestly, with those retirements, it gives us salary cap. We have $113 million. Like everyone that told me to rebuild the Saints told me their salary cap was terrible, and the only thing I can make the assumption is those retirements. I mean, Cam Jordan would have been a lot of money, and Demario Davis would have been a lot of money, and Taysom Hill has one of like the worst contracts in the NFL, even if he is an absolute hybrid. So like that is a decent roll with 113. We're going to decline the 5th-year option on Olave so we can get ahead of a long-term extension. We have a Debo at corner. I'd love to get him on like a 4-year. Keep him in the building. One of our upsidey players, 26, 82 with that star dev. We have Chase Young, Rashid Shaheed, I didn't know Kamara was a free agent. Juwan Johnson. I mean, this is a lot of dudes. Okay, let's figure this out. We're going to give Chase Young a 3-year, $60 million deal. Gamble that he can put his best foot forward and put some big-time production and step up in that Cam Jordan role for us over the next 3 seasons. Tried to give Rashid Shaheed a 2-year deal. He's 27, so I was like, all right, let's keep him to year 29. Good deep threat. He wants to test out free agency, which, these guys that do want to test, I'm not going to franchise tag him because we got a generous roll of the retirements that gave us some salary cap. I think part of the challenge of this rebuild is the fact that in reality, most of these guys, there's no money to re-sign them. So we'll take it as it falls. So Rashid Shaheed heads to free agency. Try to give Alvin Kamara a 1-year, $9 million deal, which is going to be more money than he get on the open market. But there was all this chatter at the trade deadline about whether or not Alvin Kamara would get traded away. Remember the Denver Broncos and reuniting with Sean Payton was a rumor. I really want to keep him. I love Alvin Kamara, one of my favorite, it's casual take, I guess to say, but he's been like one of the most consistent fantasy weapons I've had since he's been in the league. I had him year 1. He's always held a special place in my heart, even though that 1 year he cost me my fantasy title because I went up against him when he had 6 touchdowns on Christmas. Oh! But unfortunately, he wants to bounce. Try to give Juwan Johnson a contract extension, 1 year, $9.5 million. Again, more money per year, like Alvin Kamara, than he would get in the open market. I just don't want to give him the big years that he wanted because he's close to his ceiling. And he wants to bounce. Willie Gay, who went up dev trades to start dev outside linebacker, really get him back here on a 2-year deal. Looking at free agency, I think we do like okay business here. We get Tutu Atwell to come in and be our at least challenge for our wide receiver 2. Has not really panned out. He's a high pick from the Rams. 25 years old, 75. He's technically our 2nd highest rated wide receiver. So it just gives us a little bit more depth there. And if he pops off, he pops off. If not a significant investment. And the same thing for Julian Blackmon. 27 years old, 79 with a dev trade. I got him on a 2-year deal, so we have him locked up for the remainder of his prime, and he just gives us a nice upgrade at strong safety. And then we got Milton Williams following Kellen Moore from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's about to get paid after the Super Bowl that he had. He was arguably the best player on the field on the defensive side of the ball for the Eagles. We're going to come in and bring him at defensive tackle to play along Brian Breezy, which I think is going to be a very dominant interior pass rush. 26 years old, 79, superstar. We got him for 3 more years, so we have him locked in for the remainder of his prime. So really happy with the business we're able to do here with these 3 players. So at pick number 9 of the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. This is a very, very interesting position. The mock draft had Cam Ward still available. I'm not going to lie. Did not think of that. I would have done it. I think I would have done it. I think I would have cashed in a Cam Ward rebuild here. Especially looking at the remaining quarterbacks. I honestly think the reality is there's not a gigantic difference if you're looking at, swinging for the fences between Spencer Rattler and getting one of these three, if that's kind of the direction we want to go, at least this year. I mean, Genty be on the board. You have Hampton on the board. Absolutely in play, especially with Alvin Kamara retiring. I think, we've used Genty in rebuilds. So the comments always come. It's like, how do you pass on Genty? It's like, okay, I get it. If every rebuild was completely and 100% independent of one another, I'd probably draft the same players over and over again because they're the best players. I like to mix it up. I'll tell you what, Omarion Hampton's an absolute baller, and if he's still there in the second round, I think that could be fun because we've done and featured Genty. We've done and featured Judkins in our Browns rebuild a little bit. We've featured Cam Scatabo in a Cardinals rebuild. All those guys have been studs, and I definitely think Omarion Hampton is deserving of an opportunity to kind of be a feature player. We have Luther Burden at wide receiver. Need weapons on this offense. Yet to use Luther Burden in a rebuild. I did scout him just for this potential opportunity. That would be sick. We need tight end help. We have Warren and Loveland as the big two, but I was also like, all right, we get in the second round. Harold Fannin broke every single tight end receiving record in college football last year. If he's still there with our second pick, that could absolutely be a direction we want to go. You look at offensive tackle with the retirement of Ryan Ramczyk. Banks, Ursery, they check out as potential fits. Even on the other side, Josh Simmons and Connerly. Even going down here to the LSU player, Emory Jones, you have Williams. Like, these are all players that could be in the discussion for a first-round pick. So I really do think the money spot where we're going to have to make the real tough decision is how we want to invest that top 10 pick in the second round. I think our defense is in a decent spot, even though, like, Michael Williams is a big-time edge rusher. We have Granderson. We re-signed Chase Young. Like, let's give those guys an opportunity to see what they can do. And then on the interior, we did our work bringing in Milton Williams in free agency to pair that with Brian Breezy. So even though the two D tackles that are available will be awesome gets for the program, not necessarily the direction I think we should go, at least this year. You have Jalen Walker's kind of like that linebacker edge rush hybrid. What could have been if Zach Bond stayed with the New Orleans Saints. So that is an interesting option. I love the state of our secondary, so I don't think we really need to be considering any of these DBs that are currently available, even though, it's never a bad time to think about who's going to be the successor for Honey Badger. But I think for us, as it stands right now, the most interesting name for me is to pair a baller with Chris Olave. And I think Luther Burden absolutely can be that baller. Coming off a little bit of a down year at Mizzou, but there was a point in time when everybody wanted the next Deebo Samuel. And I think looking at and trying to replicate what Kellen Moore had and found a success in winning a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, you need a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 that are almost both wide receiver 1s. You need your A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And stylistically, maybe not the same, but a Luther Burden, Chris Olave, wide receiver 1A, wide receiver 1B situation to build long-term around whatever the hell we end up doing with the quarterback position. I think that's going to be in the best interest of the Saints team. Luther Burden, number 17 in true value, getting him at pick number 9. But the stats are undeniable. He's going to be an incredible talent. Now, here's where we will be aggressive, however you want to break it down. Whoever's the best available, if one of those guys that we're kind of gassing up a little bit is still here in the second round, I think I want to be aggressive. Aggressive for sure. Maybe could wait. I bet you Genty and like Malachi Starks, those are the two guys that are like always there. Tyleek Williams just went. I think we want to get to like at least Jalen Milroe just went. Guard. Tyler Booker, guard. We could use guards. Mambu at guard, tackle. Raiders are up. Shamar Stewart, pass rush. Jets are up. Landon Jackson at pass rush. The Bears. Who are they going to select? And they go pass rush. Okay, board is set. And Genty actually properly went in the first round, leaving us an opportunity to replace Alvin Kamara. Yes, we have Kendre Miller on the team, but the upside of Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton, tell me you didn't watch North Carolina football if you don't know that this guy is an absolute stud. Carried the program, I think, absolutely can be a focal point. Again, to reiterate, and I love the fact, that's why I love these draft classes, that he's not slept on. Number 7 in true value of this class. We need to not only replace Alvin Kamara, but if we're going to try to slowly replicate what Kellen Moore had success with, I mean, we're not calling Omarion Hamption Saquon Barkley, but to have that premier feature running back, which I would have been awesome to keep Alvin Kamara for another year, but we need that as a staple of this offense. I think Hampton not only has the tools and traits as a rookie, but he brings immense upside to develop into a really special player. So we're getting to the very late stages of the second round, and to move up about 13 spots, because we have a high pick, we're going to pay. I'm going to give up my third this year. I still have a third of our own. I'm going to give up my 2/4 this year to move back up into the second round. We're also picking up a future fifth way down in 2027. I think I overpaid slightly, which I don't have a problem doing, especially when I'm trading up in the second round. Those are kind of your sacred rounds. But I just watched my board. Let's just go right back. I just watched the board kind of get depleted there a little bit of players that would be dream selections for us if we stayed at number 8 in the third round. Right? I was like, all right, perfect role after we selected Hampton. It's like, all right, can Malachi Stark still be available? Or Iman Wari still be available? Are we going to get a quarterback role? Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, at least be able to have that conversation. They're all gone. I was like, all right, what about Emory Jones, the LSU tackle? That'd be a great fit. He's gone. So as the board started to clear up, we have one last player that is scouted that we'd feel real happy selecting here. It's at a big-time position of need, and that is Harold Fannin Jr., the most prolific receiving tight end in college football history. I think this, I've never used him in a rebuild yet. Number 38 in true value, getting him at pick 58, worthy of the trade as long as he has a dev trade, which is exactly what we get out of. I mean, there's our third receiving option. Yeah, we brought in Tutu Atwell in free agency, but I think this offense, if we can go through Chris Olave, Luther Burden, Harold Fannin, Omarion Hampton, we're going to be pretty damn good. Next up, we're going to draft an interior lineman. Likely will kick out to guard for us out of Georgia. This is a name just to, if the rumors are true right now, and like the draft sickos, there's a chance we're talking about like an elite RAS score coming from Jared Wilson from Georgia. I've heard like he could run like 4.8. Was like just remember this. Jared Wilson, if and likely will run and test at the combine, be prepared. So take a look at our draft recap. Really, really solid haul that we can live with, especially with the fact that the first 4 picks all have dev traits. We got Bayer there. We got Cody Simon, really, really nice linebacker from Ohio State to add some depth there. We have Jared Wilson. We're going to convert him inside, use his athletic traits, and put him at left guard, where he will be a day 1 starter as a 69 hidden dev. Harold Fannin, 73 with a hidden dev. Not too big of a drop-off from Juwan Johnson. We actually tried multiple times to bring back with a contract extension, so we're better off with Fannin as our tight end going forward. Omarion Hampton, a top 10 true talent player in this draft. Getting that in the second round is always a steal, regardless of position. He is 77 with the dev trait. And then the big dog of the class, Luther Burden, who's going to walk in and be expected to contribute and flirt with 1,000. Honestly, we need to have 2,000-yard receivers. Burden, Olave, hell, even Fannin. Like, I'm thinking we need like 13, 11, and like 9 to 1,000 for those 3 players going forward to find the kind of success we really want to see. When you get all these rookies, you want to put them in the grinder in training camp. See what you got up first. Harold Fannin's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and be unstoppable in the red zone attack. We got Luther Burden next up. That said, oh, you got gold medal? Oh, the tight end's going to be the big rookie receiver? I'm just going to go ahead. I don't care how late of a ball Derek Carr's throw me. I'll get a gold medal. And then we got Omarion Hampton here. Oh, you got to come in and replace Alvin Kamara? Oh, well, how about you just put up, what can we go, 135? I think that's the highest I've ever got. We might have to try to emote on him. No, there we go. Might just be the highest running back score I've ever got. What hell of a rookie class, and the expectations couldn't be higher. Oh boy. Midway point of year number 1, 1-7. Yeah. Not great. Maybe great, depending on what this means for our draft pick. Is there any other team that's as bad as us? 1-7. You got Miami 3 wins. Dallas is 2-7. What are the odds, dude, that we are in like, okay, get the Colts at 2-6. What are the odds that like we suck so bad and it's the one time Dallas is not the cheat code, super cheesy, overpowered NFC team? 2-7 for the Cowboys is kind of surprising. All right, let's look at some contracts here. Salary cap, we have $80 million. We have Chris Olave. Might as well lock him into a 5-year. Hopefully, making it and committing this money, we don't lose that superstar dev on what is almost certainly going to be a down year. Like, hopefully he can still get 1,000 yards. That would help out. We have Allar Taylor, the Cookie Monster. I like him. I like him a lot. Let's see if we can keep him in the building. Something like that. 11.1. Dunzo. Penning. I don't want to say necessarily replaceable, but like serviceable. 75, 26, 27, 28, 29. Maybe something like that. $25 million. Just keep him there. You know, hopefully he can... We got Honey Badger. If he wants to come back on a 1 year, so be it. If not, I get it. Hey, 1 year for Honey Badger. $40 million remaining, and I think everybody else here can bounce. Just a little update because we were terrible. We've won a couple. Not only did we win a couple, we beat Atlanta in a divisional rivalry and get a Player of the Week performance from our big free agent signing, Milton Williams, with a hat trick of sacks. So at the end of year number 1, we go 4-13. So we actually finish worse off than the team that we inherited. Our ranking, I mean, our teams, we knew it was going to be bad. We knew our team was going to stink. So all of our rankings are relative. And, you know, Kellen Moore, offensive coach. I think the fact that we had the number 15th passing offense, you know, you can live with that. You can live with the growing pains of where we're at. Big question above all is, where are we selecting? Yes! We sucked more than everybody else, baby. Let's go. And look at the losing streaks. Oh, my God. It was a race. We lost 4 in a row. I thought there was a chance. The Panthers lost 8 in a row. Dolphins lost 3 in a row. Bears lost 3 in a row. And that, like, usually 4 wins is not good enough to get you the first overall pick. Fact of the matter. And the Panthers tried their best to out-tank us within the division. Yeah, right. That is ours and ours only. So we have secured the services of the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, despite the best efforts of everyone else around us. And if there's a silver lining just from this snapshot, is we are the Eagles' offense. And Jalen Hurts somehow, some way, threw for 47 touchdowns. That leads me to believe that if we can find the right quarterback, we too can have that type of play. I mean, Derek Carr didn't play terribly. If we're going to be honest, 3,900 yards, 31 touchdowns, 12 picks is not brutal. You know, a lot of times when you have number 1 overall pick seasons, your quarterback has more interceptions than touchdowns. So Kellen Moore's offense might be something there. Omarion Hamption gets his 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns for his rookie campaign. Happy with that. Luther Burden gets his 1,000, just under 1,000 for Olave. Fannin with 7 and 2. Atwell with a respectable year. Luther Burden in the slot, full disclosure. That is a hell of a way to start your NFL career. 84 catches, almost 1,300 yards, and 18 touchdowns. And what I'm seeing here is, I kind of said, we want 2,000-yard receivers, which I think as our offense gets even just marginally better, we should be able to hit those 2,000s. Hopefully Olave keeps his superstar. That'd be harsh if he doesn't. And then Fannin, I mean, if he can even just get like 15, 20% better and gives us 800 yards, 5, 6 touchdowns, we're laughing. Defensively, no 100 tacklers. We got 12.5 sacks from Milton Williams, 9.5 for Granderson, 8.5 from Chase Young, only 4 from Brian Breezy. So regression from the 7.5 that he had last season. But, you know, again, defense was terrible. Those are really nice and solid sack numbers. Allar Taylor leads the team with 3 picks. Damn, no picks. Well, I mean 1, but that's kind of like no picks for our 2 best DBs in Adebo and McKinstry only getting 1. Definitely want to see them step it up. The Burden already getting respect, coming top 5 in Offensive Player of the Year voting as a rookie. As he runs away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, Omarion Hamption, runner-up, ahead of Ashton Genty. Wow, back-to-back context of the rebuild. That's a back-to-back offense we technically have under the hood here in New Orleans. Just got to get the pieces there. For Luther Burden, who had the standout campaign, we're going to keep pumping the points there into Playmaker, which is usually the best archetype to spend your points, I find. You almost always get that overall going up, regardless of what your top is. But he ends his campaign. You know what? We got to put the C on his chest. He's that damn good of a playmaker with a superstar dev trait, which he earned for getting Offensive Rookie of the Year and having just truly one of the best, if not, I mean, there's definitely no rookie that ever had more than 18 receiving touchdowns. Maybe not on the receptions or yards front. I think that goes to Brock Bowers and like Puka. But touchdown record for a rookie, Luther Burden. Let's go. And for the rest of the squad, Omarion Hamption is a star dev. Chris Olave did not lose his superstar dev. However, I think like we kind of banked the one little insurance there. If he has another not great season, next year probably could consider him a candidate, a strong candidate to have dev trait regression. Harold Fannin, just a star to have ends his rookie campaign as a 78 star. Wilson at guard, another one of our rookies with dev trait, 73 star. Defensively, as far as dev traits, Honey Badger loses his star. We got him coming back on a 1-year rental. Look at the regression, dude. He went from 80 down to a 74. Oh, that's not great. And everyone else's dev trait remained the same. I mean, I guess could have been harsher for our dev trait regression. Lucky it's not. For our contracts, we're going to go out by declining the 5th year option on Brian Breezy so we can get him locked in long-term next year. Far as free agency is concerned, linebacker and safety would be the two that if there was an interesting scenario. What the hell is this? Ricky Wright for the dev trait, huh? My interest has been piqued slightly. What would this cost? What if I hit you something like that? We'll just see Ricky Wright. He must be one of the UDFAs from the realistic class. Jot that name down if you're in the 7th round. We got Ivan Pace, 25. Nakobe Dean's there as well. I mean, where are we at with it, right? Where does that contract put us? At the top. So we'll see. Just for the dev trade and the upside. See what can happen there. For the rest of the team, we need, honestly, even though we brought back Honey Badger for 1 year, if there was a nice upgrade at safety, I would be willing to spend. We have Isaiah Simmons. When Isaiah Simmons is the best, it's probably going to be ideal. To the punt on that position, we'll just go with Honey Badger for 1 more year. Can we land first team all-name Ricky Wright? Hell yeah. Let's go. We have earned the #1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. A unique opportunity here, as there are some big-name quarterbacks in this 2026 class that are worthy of being feature players in a rebuild. Which one are we going to choose? Well, I think the scouting here is going to decide it for us. Again, we have an opportunity. Like, if I went into this class just knowing what I know about college football, and I'm like, who's worthy of a rebuild? I think Cade Klubnik, returning to Clemson, he could absolutely establish himself as a legitimate first-round quarterback. You have Nussmeier from LSU. That's an interesting discussion to be had. But the top two in this class are almost undisputedly right now. Nico Iamaleava, who is from Tennessee. I'm not going to lie, when I've watched him play, haven't been overly impressed. But the tools and traits are certainly there for the former 5-star. And then you have Drew Allar, who many thought could declare and go in the first round of the 2025 class, even with not so great final game for Penn State during the college football playoff. But another player, much like Iamaleava, for a Canadian, you're not going to get a better pronunciation like that out of a Canadian. Both these guys are just tools and trait quarterbacks. 6'6", 220, 6'5", 240. I'm not going to lie, I thought I was going to go Nico. I thought all things equal, I was a little more interested to go with Nico, but I think if you're a Nico fan, if you're a Vols fan, you gotta need to, even if you're Nussmeier, because the LSU, and there might be some Louisiana folks watching today's video, I think it's time to cash in and do a Drew Allar rebuild. Now, we could wait 1 more year and do an Arch Manning, but I've already done not a realistic rebuild, I've already done like an Arch Manning goes to the Saints. I don't want to rehash that one. Let's try something new. We desperately need a quarterback. Drew Allar, A medium, A short, B deep, C under pressure, elite throw power, traits for days. And we're going to make him the first overall pick of the 2026 NFL Draft. I'm going to guess we're going to get absolutely hosed on the true value here. That's just the nature of the beast when taking a quarterback. Very realistic, some might say. I'm going to say he's in the 25. He's going to be 25 true talent at #1 or something like that. Oh, no. Well, okay, it's a little bit worse. At least we got a dev trade. Damn. All right, wait. No bummers. No bad voodoo, no bad mojo. We're excited. This is our brand new, shiny franchise quarterback. And Kellen Moore is going to make him a stud. Our second-round picks, it's not technically. This is like John Madden analysis. But when you have the first pick of the second round, it's kind of like you have another first-round pick, right? You're getting absolutely some players that were considered first-round talent. So where do we need to go? Looking at our squad, I mean, you could make the argument that just outright replacing Trevor Penning. So tackle, I'll consider, but it's certainly not a absolute necessity. On the defensive side of the ball, a safety to take over for Honey Badger. We could look at, How old's Granderson? Is he 30? 29, 30. We could look at like a more upsidey pass rusher for sure. But if we're looking for, you know, a day one starter, where, you know, unfortunately, not to throw him under the bus because he's a legend, Honey Badger at safety. Let's take a look. So tackle, safety, edge rush. How does the board fall? We still have some quarterbacks here. Ooh, we got safeties. I did scout a couple safeties. We got Kilgore from South Carolina, second, third round talent. Free safety, we scouted Dylan Fannin out of Oregon. I believe he was at Purdue. He's a legitimate first rounder. That's likely going to be the direction we want to go. I mean, in comparison, as far as edge rusher, Harold Perkins is there. Just crushed it with him in our Miami Dolphins rebuild. He's a freak of nature if you're using these classes and you want to, especially if you're playing every game, you want to use your pass rusher. Don't be fooled by the fact that he's 6'1", 230, severely undersized. I don't want to double dip that quickly. And then you look on the outside, who else could be? We have Dennis Sutton from Penn State. What do we got here? 6'5", 270 with A power move, C finesse move, and a 4.75. Maybe not, you know, your typical freak edge rusher from Penn State, but that's not a bad pick. And on the other side, there's just, you know, nothing too crazy there. I do also think, though, third round, we had the first pick in the third round. Maybe we see what edge rushers are available. I think we got to trust our scout. Let's not overthink it. We need to replace the Honey Badger. Heineman, A hit power, A tackle, C zone coverage, 6 feet, 213, and exciting white. Much like Reed Blankenship, Cooper DeJean, number 49 in true. Oh shit, correct that. Number 16 in true value, getting the pick 33. Let's go. And all I remember he had an insane true freshman. He had like 4 or 5 picks, something like that, as a true freshman for Purdue. Now he gets a big money Nike move to Oregon, and likely will establish himself as an absolute baller. So with the first pick of the third round, our needs, edge rusher. Looking at what we have here. So we have Patrick Payton from LSU. Believe he transferred from Florida State. Looks decent, has a couple nice traits. Right defensive end, not much there. For outside players, we have Jacob Manu out of Y. I mean, he's just real undersized there. 5'11", 228, no thank you. Right outside linebacker, we have our Mason Thomas. Or Trey Moore from Texas. Trey Moore was a baller like UTSA, I think it was. You know, none of these guys have like insane. Some of these guys have elite traits. We have elite speed, but it's only 4.58, which is not. That's elite, I guess, in relation to the rest of the class. Not necessarily elite outside of it. We got elite strength there on Trey Moore. Perkins for like off-ball linebacker. Ooh, he's slow. I thought they'd give him a lot more speed than that. Okay, I think the best pick here is going to be Tristan Lee from Clemson. Lee? Tristan Lay. I'm going to go with Lay. That looks like Lay. But he has 3 Bs, B pass block, B run block, and a decent bench press. So I'm looking at this as more so like we don't have to worry about penning. Number 92 in true value at 65, and we roll a dev trait. I'm now a little annoyed that we re-signed Penning. So take a look at our draft recap. It all got some solid depth across the board. You got Bear Alexander, who's played for every team in college football apparently. 66. We got 68 on Perkins. Lee at 71 with a dev trait. We got Thieneman 77 overall with a dev trait. That is huge. That's honestly already an immediate upgrade over what we were planning on rolling out there with Tyrann Mathieu and Drew Allar, the new franchise quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. 73 with the hidden dev and an absolute howitzer of an arm. So as we start year number 2, I always like to kick off when we draft a brand new quarterback at their NFL debut. And a lot of times it's a nice matchup, a nice opening matchup. The team's usually bad, so you get a last place team schedule. That is not the case. You're not going to find a tougher assignment for Drew Allar making his first NFL start and a debut on the road against a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go see if we can shock the world. All right, let's start this out easy. Baltimore got the ball first, marched down the field. Fairly easy to score a touchdown. I'm not going to say as expected, but as expected. So let's get our first career completion for Drew Allar. Boom, we're going to go cross the middle. And hopefully a legendary combo in the making. Drew Allar to Luther Burden. We got Drew Allar marching down the field. A PI call has spot us in the red zone. We got the Eagles playbook. For that, I'm very blessed. Familiarity is certainly there. And oh boy, is it really the Eagles playbook? Ball on the 1 yard line. Can we please, Madden, now that Eagles have won the Super Bowl, can we put the tush push in next year's game? Please. Ooh, got him, Omarion Hamption on the backfield, a do-it-all player. And the Saints have regained the lead on the road here in Baltimore. I'll volunteer to do the mocap for that, all right? If that's what it takes to get the tush push, QB sneak in the game, I'll mocap that, okay? Fourth down, are we gonna... Coward! Let's just give him the game away. I don't know if we're gonna even get the ball again on offense. Okay. Oh, Harold Fannin, pick it on! Roquan Smith in coverage. Oh no, we got no timeouts. Come on, we got one more chance. Come on, Rook. Burden in the slot. Throw it up. Yes! Let's go! Luther Burden comes down with it. What a debut. 4 touchdowns, 2 through the air, 2 QB sneaks. Drew Allar, welcome to the NFL. The midway point of our first year of the Drew Allar era, better known as year number 2. We are 4-3 and at least competitive. All things considered, like right in the hunt, tied for first place in the NFC South. And our rankings are, offensively, we feel all right. Everything else, come on, wake up, fellas. Take a look at our contracts. Whoa, that's a lot of money. $130 million, and it's not surprised that this is where we can get Derek Carr's contract off the books. But he does have a mentorship tag on, so he is giving extra XP to Drew Allar, which is very much appreciated. But looking at our impending free agents, I'm going to be honest with you. If Blackman will take that deal, sure. If not, fuck off. But I do think we will pay Brian Breezy. I think the sky is the limit. I think 5 years. And hit him with 110. There we go. We treat ours right. Homegrown talent, I always prioritize. So at the end of year number 2, we go 9-8, which is over doubling our win-loss total. We have the number 1 passing yards per game. Almost a top 10 offense. Weird. All right, this is the Eagles. All right, we're Kellen Moore. I would have been, honestly, more prepared to see the number 1 rushing offense than I would the number 1 passing offense, let alone terrible rushing yards, which sucked because Omarion Hampton is a very talented player. And then our defense was absolute butt cheeks. We were first team out of the playoffs. So for that, I mean, close, but look at that. Leading receiver, Luther Burden. Leading passer in his debut season, Drew Allar. 4,800 yards. 31 touchdowns. 12 picks. I mean, a historic start. There's no other way to describe it for Drew Allar. Hampton, the yards aren't there, but you know what? 16 touchdowns makes you feel a little bit better. Drew Allar, another 300 yards and 5 total. So he's 36 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards from the rookie. 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns from Burden, 11 and 6 from Olave. I think this is what we could have, when I drafted both Burden and Fannin, I kind of said, like, in my mind, 2,000-yard receivers, and then Fannin's putting up, top 5 tight end numbers. That's what we're getting. If we can get a little more touchdowns there for Fannin, that'd be cool. Defensively, these guys were dog shit. DeRicky Wright leads the team in tackles. We get 8 sacks from Granderson, 6.5 Chase Young, 6 from Milton Williams, 4.5 from Willie Gay. Now, I'm not necessarily in the business of firing anybody this early in a rebuild, but I lazily just gave Kellen Moore Philadelphia offense, Philadelphia defense. Word on the street is that Brandon Staley, so that would be, I don't know, you wouldn't be able to really necessarily put it as the Chargers playbook, but I think from Chargers and the Rams defensive tree, like it'd be a 3-4 front, which is also what, you know, Vic Fangio runs for the Eagles. But like there are other options that we could potentially pivot to defensively. But I think it's still early because last year's numbers are really good. Maybe it's just a yin and yang, up and down thing. We're trying to find that consistency. But man, oh man, what a start to Drew Allar's career. That was sick. I actually simmed ahead to the Super Bowl by mistake, and then for whatever reason, because Madden, I don't know why, you can't go back and look at your award winners. If you go to the Super Bowl spot, it's locked. But just to be clear and obvious, Drew Allar does win Offensive Rookie of the Year, so that's pretty cool. From a dev trade standpoint, Drew Allar is a superstar dev, wasn't always. He was drafted and, spoiler, was a star, but after winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, gets the upgrade to a superstar, and the combination of him and Luther Burden, who literally is maybe the best wide receiver in the league now, who is, I mean, he's just absolute beast. Got wide receiver of the year, offensive player of the year, superstar X Factor, was dominant as a rookie. It's a cheat code with this Kellen Moore offense. If you're a Saint fan, just follow this blueprint. Right? I'm not going to throw copyright infringement. Draft Luther Burden. You know the draft classes, sport gaming rosters. Put him in the slot. Success. Rest of the class, Lee at tackle there is a star dev. He was a hidden dev rookie. On the defensive side, we have lost a dev trade on Willie Gay. Heineman is only a star dev. And no one else up or down dev trades. And I set my focus scouting, my big chase for this upcoming draft, edge rush. We got to get more of a pass rush going. That's a missing piece. I think we get a pass rush, 9-8 turns to 12 wins, 11-12 wins next year. So as we head in towards the 2027 NFL Draft, where do we need to invest our pick of our final realistic class? I said edge rush. That's where I kind of focus scouted. Granderson, I feel like there's, you know, I mean, even Young's a little bit younger, and you would say a little bit more upside, but like neither one of these guys are producing at a high enough level. But we're also picking the late teens, so there's usually not a true game changer at pass rush available at that spot. So elsewhere, I mean, linebacker, strong safety. Alante Taylor's not developing. He's getting pretty close to his ceiling as well. So, like, if a nickel is best player available, we could certainly look that direction. The biggest bummer, though, is we have over $100 million of salary cap, and it was one of the worst free agency spots I've ever seen. Like, all the top players are, like, low 80s, 30-plus years old. Not good roles. So, we are now at a spot here. Great. Nwaneri, the edge rush going to Dallas, was probably going to be the last pass rusher that would have been worth selecting where we're at. I mean, the good news is no safeties are off the board. Let's see what we have. Safety, linebacker, edge rusher. We got Sammy Brown at middle linebacker. We have Ricardo Jones, first, second round talent. We might have to go. We have Perch, first, second round talent as well. We might just have to go like in a true BPA. Ricardo Jones is B zone, B tackle. Not a great combine. Not a terrible combine, but not great. Kind of middle of the mall. And we have Coy Perch. What do we got here? Very similar, slightly better key ratings. And, you know, the 3-code and 20-yard shuttle is a difference. But everything else is on pace. But he's very much like a second-round pick. Good pass rushers here. We have Qua Rusa. 6'2", 256. B finesse move. A awareness. Yeah, no. That's kind of like, it's very much a yeah, nah. Yeah, looks alright. Also, not sure. Not in love with it. I mean, yeah, let's just go with the safety here, I guess. Chexo's a first rounder. Number 30 in true value, getting a pick 18. Dev trade's the most important point at that spot. He'll be a starter for us. And slipping out of the first round for our second round selection, we have Kobe Black out of Texas. And I think he'll just give us a little bit of youth injection to our corner room. Not brutal pick, 74 in true value. At pick 50, no dev trade. Damn. So looking at our draft recap, we, did well from a rating standpoint. 69, 70, 69, 69 to the fourth round. Travion Williams out of Mississippi State, 73 with a dev trade surplus. We don't really need a D tackle. It was kind of just BPA. He had the highest bench press of, 96 strength. Highest bench press remaining. We got Micah Hudson, former 5-star recruit, 72, normal. Black, 72, normal. So, like, the ratings are good. Might not have scored many dev traits, only 2 from the class. But at least in Ricardo Jones' case, first-round player that needs to start. We don't have a strong safety on the roster. At least we got a lot of potential upside there for him to make a very nice partnership with Dylan Thieneman, our rookie from last year. So here in year number 3, we are 4-3. The good news is, our offense is 91. That is very good spot to be in only year 3 of a rebuild. Our offense is playing like a 91 offense. Number 3 in points, number 1 in pass, number 2 in rush. I have my doubts that will maintain. Usually something breaks and you commit more to the run or the pass. I'm going to, just based off of last year's numbers, I imagine the rushing numbers are going to fall down a little bit. We're on a 2-game losing streak, which is not ideal. But let's look at some contracts. We've been very, very conscientious of our fragile salary cap starting this rebuild and not wanting to get back into that salary cap hell that the Saints, currently are living through in real life. So I think I want to maintain that a little bit. I don't want to necessarily be frugal, but I also want to make sure that if we're paying money, we're going to be getting, for sure things. So we're going to start with Fwaga at left tackle. Don't want him going anywhere. Absolutely a franchise tackle. We have Kool-Aid McKinstry, another homegrown player. I think we lock him in really for the rest of his prime. 5-year, $35 million. Not worried about it. We have Chase Young, who just hasn't performed whatsoever. I think I'll give him the due diligence of if he plays well this year. If we get, what's he looking for per year? 15? 20? Well, okay, average. We'll say that averages out to about $19 million a year. I need to see 10 sacks. If you're not getting 10 sacks and you've yet to show me you can get 10 sacks, you're not worth that price. McCoy at center, kind of in the ballpark of like, let's let you retire a Saint highest rated player on the offensive side of the ball. We have Milton Williams, who's actually been kind of solid, but $20 million for 1 year. We got Ruiz, got Granderson, so we are, and I did focus scout edge rushers. So we are, if things go and makes more sense to let these guys walk, we will have all the available information for the upcoming draft prospects. Milton's the only guy that played well enough, I think, to get a contract extension. But I also think for all of them, it's not going to be that much cheaper if we wait to the offseason to throw the money. It might be $1 million or $2 million more. I want to see who wants to earn this contract. Let me see the stats at the end of the year. Who has the most sacks? And are you guys deserving of these $20 million a year contracts? All right, that's what we want to see. We finished year number 3. Prolific offense, 11-6. And actually, they just decided, like, hey, we're actually just going to maintain this balance and have elite offense on every facet. We can beat you through the air. We can beat you through the ground. It's Kellen Moore. That's a Kelly. You get an offensive head coach. This is what you could dream of. We get our first NFC South title, 11-6, ran away with the division. And no one really is the big dog. Like, we're absolutely going to be in this with the Eagles. You look at the Lions, you get the Seahawks. I don't think they're any better than us. Drew Allar. The touchdowns aren't crazy, but the yards certainly have been back-to-back years. There hasn't been a year he's been in this goddamn league that he hasn't led the league in passing yards. 4,700 passing yards. 32 touchdowns, 11 picks. More humble there. But the yards have been on point. 12 and 14 from Hampton. I love that balance. Drew Allar also went for 8 rushing touchdowns. So that is the influence of the Eagles. We're getting those Jalen Hurts numbers. He goes for a 40 bomb. Good God. Luther Burden continues to be an absolute cheat code. 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns. We got just under 1,000 for Olave, just under 1,000 for Fannin. The rookie Micah Hudson was a decent role player. Got 400 yards from Hampton, so he got 1,600 yards from scrimmage on the season. Ricky Wright over 100 tackles. Our sacks are disappointing. I'll put it this way. Our sacks are maybe Chase Young gets a contract extension. Everybody else, you did not earn it. Interceptions, only 4 total on the year. Not ideal. Yeah, no award winners. Luther Burden was runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year, which means we got a motivated squad, a disrespected squad going into the first round here of the playoffs against a very good Niners team. That also checks out. Great balance between the offense and defense as we look for our first freaking playoff win of the rebuild. And not only do we get it belled to ass from an offensive standpoint, 49-35. The Saints get the job done. Drew Allar with a 6-touchdown debut in his first playoff game. 4 through the air, 2 through the ground. And Kellen Moore has himself an absolute cheat code under center. Who else did what? I bet you Luther Burden went off. 5 touchdowns from Purdy. Now, the inverse of this game was our defense did not play Super Bowl caliber defense. But man, oh man, we got it rolling. Luther Burden over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fannin and Olave getting after it. Defensively, not much. But the guy that I think we might offer a contract to, Chase Young, at least standing up. And look at the matchup we got next. The Philadelphia Eagles. Strength on strength. Now, it is a little frustrating knowing that we are running the exact same playbooks. And their defense is so much better than mine. But also, they must be frustrated that we're running the exact same offense, and our offense is a lot better than theirs. So we will show them respect the same way we show respect to all established franchises that we run into during the playoffs. We're going to auto-upgrade our team. We got 3 starters there, 2 DBs, and our quarterback looking to play their best game here with the NFC Championship on the line in year 3 of our minimum of 5, maximum of 10-year rebuild. And unfortunately, the grizzled veteran Eagles team that are no stranger to going into the playoffs, they get us in overtime. Oh, man. Jalen Hurts not playing. Our defense stepped up, forcing 2 turnovers on Jay Hurts. Drew Allar, 3 touchdowns. He has 9 touchdowns in his first 2 playoff games with no turnovers. That is outstanding. Kool-Aid McKinstry with the 2 picks. Shout out him. Shout out Milton getting a sack on his former team. All right. So as we end the season, the good news is dev traits galore. Omarion Hamption up to a superstar, and Drew Allar at quarterback gets his X factor. I mean, checks out. He has been incredible starting as a star dev. Kind of, I'm not going to say middle of the mall quarterback, but nothing truly standout-ish for a first overall pick. Like, wasn't a superstar out the gate, but he has absolutely thrived. Him and Luther Burden, killing it. Absolutely killing. On the defensive side, Chase Young gets a superstar dev. And I think of the Chase Young, Milton Williams, Carl Granderson, soon to be free agents, we clearly should get Chase Young locked in for like another 2 years. So we're going to start the offseason by declining the 5th-year option on Luther Burden. He is going to be very expensive next season. And then we have Chase Young looking for a 3-year deal. I'd like that to be more to 2, but I have so much money that I think we could compensate him for his time. I'm going to hit him with a $12 million bonus. And let's go. I mean, 12 and 12 seems fairly reasonable. If not, we will absolutely consider the franchise tag. Oh, congratulations. You went from making $20 million a year to making $30 million for 1 year, which, hey, we'll keep you. And good luck getting that long-term contract at 30, idiot. Fortunately for us, we go into free agency looking for something nice. Something nice ain't looking back. Van Ness, we need pass rush help. Van Ness is the best, but even then, 27. I'm not seeing necessarily a super high ceiling on a guy looking for that $20 million per year. And considering that was my focus scouting for the draft, I'd love to just land and hit that home run on a rookie pass rush. Could get younger at corner if Terry and Arnold here. We've used him a bunch of times in rebuild, so I'm not rushing to bring him in. I mean, just disappointing. We've had the money, but there just hasn't been like the, oh my god, that's clearly the guy we want to re-sign. Like maybe Pooney at guard here. He's a year younger than Ruiz. We have the money, but I hate paying for guards. Like, unless it's I have to, I'd rather not. And like, we're good at tight end. We're good at wide receiver. We're good at running back. We're good at quarterback. I mean, Jesus Christ, just keep, give me, I'm willing to spend. Give me someone to spend on. So we're no stranger of free agency, not playing ball and relying on the draft. We need a guard. We need a defensive end. Secondary needs would be, getting younger in the secondary at corner. Linebacker could be another spot. So our focus scouts this year was at defensive end. Get a couple guys look interesting. We have David Barnett, who looked like, obviously you'll see why he stood out the most in a second, because he had B power move, C finesse move. No one else really, in the same ballpark. So, he looks like he could be pretty good. And then when you look at the combine, 6'3" with that, and he has 37 with the most reps on the bench press and the second fastest 40-yard dash time. So he's looking like a pretty solid option there for our first pick. We also scouted B.J. Ward. I thought he was going to be a first rounder, just based off. Now, athletically, not the best, but I have not seen a linebacker that has A, awareness, B, tackle, A, pursuit, A, man, A, zone. The only thing that sucks is that he's kind of slow. So, I mean, he does have elite agility. He looks real good. And if he's available, whenever it comes time to swing around, we can go. If not, there are other options at linebacker. A bunch of these guys have, like, good athletic traits. Third need is guard. Unfortunately, not a particularly strong class. You're not seeing, like, that cheese god. But, look, we have, you know, double Bs on Ben Ramirez for a day 3 pick. He could be interesting. At left guard, we got a pass block on Beckwith and Clayton. So you can wait on those guys. So a long way of saying that there are players at position needs. I think the best available guy, though, is going to be David Barnett here in the first round. Replacing Carl Granderson. B power, B tackle. Combine's very good across the board. Very optimistic we'll get a dev trade. And he is number 27 in true value at 25. And we get that dev trade. Almost 90 strength. Let's go. Now in the second round, I think we do go guard and then kind of pick through the scraps at linebacker. 3 A's to start. I mean, there's nothing wrong with either one of these guys. The fact that we actually, I don't know, there's the mystery. It's like, all right, 4 A's for Clayton. At least we have the C. We know there's a guaranteed C. See if we can pick. Honestly, we'll probably go highest bench press. We'll go as casual as that. 33 reps. Combine solid for Will Beckwith. Clayton. Like, I mean, there's a reality. Like, both these guys are pretty legit. But we'll go with Beckwith. Come on. Give me that dev trait, baby. 14 in true value at 57. And we get the dev trait. Again, I didn't find a diamond in the rough, fellas. The information's right there. He looks very good. He is very good. All right, here's where we're playing with fire. All the linebackers that I liked were 3rd, 4th round projected. Those don't tend to last as long as we like them to. And we got like nothing. You got down here. I mean, Stark has double B's for like a final pick. Middle linebacker. Oof. All the kind of good names are off the board. No one with good coverage stats. What do you got? A right outside linebacker. I think it's more of the same. God damn it. Yeah. All right. We got fuck. We got fuck there. I mean, BPA would be this Ben Ramirez guy. B pass block, B run block. Pretty terrible on the bench press, but everything else looks decent. You never have enough. Offensive lineman. Number 86 in true value at 89. And we get a dev trait. Nice. So, take a look at our draft recap. Ends up, you know, we get some nice pulls. Floyd Davis was just following our draft board. Your typical, you know, kind of, I'm surprised actually he's not outright a power back, but close to an elusive back. Don't need really any depth behind Omarion Hamption. Our run game runs through Drew Allar and Hampton, but that was kind of BPA. We got Spellman at linebacker. 73. The rating's good. No dev trade or anything crazy like that. It was just a solid linebacker that we took off of pursuit and tackle. Didn't really have much as far as like zone coverage. So the kind of players that I like to find. But we get Ben Ramirez in the 3rd round, 71 with a dev trait. Beckwith, 75 with a dev trait. And the big get in the 1st round, a rookie that is going to be expected to contribute. 74, hitting dev pass rusher David Barnett out of Florida State. 83 speed, 85 acceleration, not bad. 89 strength is outstanding. 81 pursuit, big time hit power. You got a player right there. Nothing crazy in terms of, you know, studs, S-tier players, but I will say, look, sometimes you can get burned by trusting the combine. Top 10 pick here, wide receiver Kennard. I bet you, like, with 99 speed, 98 acceleration, I bet you would have been like, oh my God, you know, it's 424, this guy's going to be good. Look at Derek Cook, similar speed, look at the agility, not even close. That's the guy you want. I'm not going to lie, I should have found that guy while I was picking. I was lazily just avoiding, and he's only a normal, so you didn't really miss out too much. But that's still a player that I should have found him. My point of view, number 4, 5 in 1, our hottest start to date. But the fact of the matter is, our roster is very good. And we should be playing at this type of level. Contracts, well, the best thing about not spending in free agency is you get situations like this where it's like, oh no, 97, 92, 87, 82, 83, 85. You know, what do I do? Well, we have, luckily, you know, unfortunately, there's no interest that can be gained by rolling over our salary cap the way that we have, but we've managed it to a point where anybody we want, especially from like these homegrown classes, as long as they want to buy in, we have the money to facilitate a long-term contract extension. We'll start on the trenches. I mean, we got Luther Burden here. That's just, you know, best wide receiver in the NFL, almost $190 million contract. You got Omarion Hamption, who's finally coming kind of off a breakout season, so we'll get him locked into a 5-year deal. Hopefully he continues to play at that level. Harold Fannin has been a really, really nice tight end, flirting with 1,000 yards pretty much every year he's been in the league. So we'll get him locked in, and we still have $100 million. Adebo is leading the league right now in interceptions. So with that, I would like to keep him for 2 seasons. Rest of his prime, we got him locked in for a 2-year contract. Chase Young, again, he's on a franchise tag. It should be wait and see. We have Dericky Wright, who's been a solid find for us on the scrap heap. We got him as like, what, a 71. He did have a dev trade at linebacker. So we'll get him locked in for another 4 years. We have the Cookie Monster, Alante Taylor. Pete Warner's been a starter for us for a minute. We'll wait and see for everybody else. Holy shit! 16-1. Number 1 offense, top 3 defense. What? Dude, we went 16-0 after week 1. We lost week 1, our only loss against Detroit, 35-31. And, you know, anytime that you have 1 loss on the season and your quarterback still goes for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks, no complaints. I don't know if we've got an undefeated season yet in our realistic rebuilds. I know this might be the closest. Drew Allar was sensational. 4,800 yards, 40 touchdowns to 4 picks, 76% completion percentage. 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns from Hampton. We are, you know, Kellen Moore, 48 touchdowns. Drew Allar might have won the MVP. We have Luther Burden, like that's just what he gives us. 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, 13 and 10 from Olave, 9 and 9 from Fannin, Hudson, and Hampton being great secondary weapons. Defensively, finally getting a pass rush, 17.5 sacks from Chase Young on a franchise tag. Got to open that Pandora's box for a contract extension. 14 sacks, Brian Breezy. The big get though is David Barnett, our first round pick. 44 TFLs, 44 tackles, 9 TFLs, 8.5 sacks. Great year for a rookie. I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was superstar. Because as you upgrade, if they're still with hidden dev, you get like a thing like when they get their 75 overall, 80 overall, you'll get like a new ability unlocked, like a little square box that tells you. So you're like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was just gonna be superstar. He is in X Factor out the box. I'm gonna be honest, we might not be able to re-sign Chase Young and just let Barnett be our lead pass rusher going forward. But we'll figure that out when time comes in the offseason. We got a team right here in year 4 that could go get us our Super Bowl. Oh, come on, dude. Brutal. Coach of the Year does go to Kellen Moore. Dude, we're just not getting awards. 3rd place in Defensive Rookie of the Year. Luckily, we do get Quarterback of the Year going to Drew Allar. Omarion Hamption, runner-up for Running Back of the Year. Luther Burden, 3rd place in Wide Receiver of the Year. Runner-up, I mean, Jesus Christ, 2, 3, and 4 for Lineman of the Year. So I'd say, I'm out. There we go. Love seeing Adebo get DB of the Year, but man, oh man. A couple robberies along the way. So the pressure is on. At 16-1, you can't go, you know, one and done. We're going up against a very good Kenneth Walker-led Seattle team, the number 1 rushing offense in the league. But at 16-1, where we have just prolific everywhere. Sacks, turnovers. Yeah, this was expected. Player of the week. Let's go. 41-16. We run through the Seattle Seahawks with Drew Allar, 4 touchdown performance. And with the Super Bowl on the line, the NFC Championship game, Green Bay against the Saints. You look at Green Bay, number 2 offense, top 5 pass, top 5 rush, top 5 rush yards. Honestly, very similar team. I think the fact that we average about a touchdown less points a game is certainly a considerable advantage. But they're pretty damn good. This is not a cakewalk. 16-1. We're probably never going to have a better year than this. Yes, baby, we're the Super Bowl. 21. We don't have to play the Chiefs. They lost to the Browns. We don't get to play Josh Allen, which I thought would have been fun because the battle of the two MVPs. But 28-21. I mean, we needed to. We scored 14 in the fourth. Not a great game. Allar was outstanding last year in the playoffs. That is, we won despite our quarterback here. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Moment got a little big there. 85 yards from Hampton. Luther Burden, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. Defensively, Jesus Christ, how did we win this game? How? What? And it was super close on the other side between the Ravens and the Bills. And we got to take on Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl. I ain't worried about it. This is very much a blessed Kellen Moore, bringing over Eagles culture, Eagles playbook offensively and defensively. They're going to give us a chance, but look at Baltimore, man. Real good. Points per game a little bit low. Everything else, top 10, borderline top 5. Number 2 defense. They're better than us defensively. But and that's rare air that you could usually say you run the football better than the Baltimore Ravens. We run, we pass it, we score more. This should be a great game. We're at a spot where we're not, all or nothing. We have so much salary cap. Our team's only scratching the surface. Now, there's definitely an element of getting this rebuild over with before it comes time to pay Drew Allar. Because we have to pay Luther Burden. As those guys are going to be incredibly expensive. But until that time comes, we still got, I'd say at least this year, next year, like a 2-year window that this team, like the core of this team, is going to be here. We're led by Drew Allar. What a freaking pick. Sucked at the right time going forward 13. And let's see if we can see this one out. I think we have more than enough talent to win, but the Ravens and Lamar Jackson are a different beast. Ugh. We have 7 points. Oh, no. Turnover. Come on, baby. Punch this one in. Give us a chance. 2 minutes. We forced the punt. I'm not going to hop in because it's only year 4. I only feel the need to hop in when it's year 5 plus. So let's watch this from a play-to-play standpoint. First play, 7-yard run, Drew Allar. Don't love that. We only have a minute. 10 yards, Harold Fannin. All right, time's ticking. We're just methodically working our way down. We still have a timeout. Luther Burden, 10 yards. Boom! Shot play to Micah Hudson, 25. Use our final timeout. 26 seconds to go. Boom. In field goal range to tie. Harold Fannin, 14 yards. Throw away. There's going to be a field goal. Boom. We are going to overtime. Will Reichard getting him over from the Vikings. Let's go OT. Drew Allar with a kickoff. That's not true. I mean, it's playoff overtime rules, so if they score, it's not the end of the world. But there we go. Big time sack. Chase Young played on a franchise tag. And we got 3rd and a fuck ton. And we're able to get the ball back. Let's go, Drew Allar. This is what legends are made of. Can you etch your name next to Drew Brees? Why are we running it? Why are we having 2 straight runs? Why did we just wave the fucking white flag? We punt it, and they're in field goal range. And they went for it on 4th down. What the fuck is going on? Oh my God, this is like the worst overtime ever. Punts. Dude, this is so bad. Okay, here, I'm coming in here. Win it or lose it right here. Jesus Christ. I'll get a first down. I'll try to get a first down. If not, this is downright embarrassing. And they just get Superman. All right, just give them the fucking win. They're going to win anyways. Unreal. We'll be back. Fuck sakes. Now we get the doomsday from winning 16-1 and that many games going that round. We're going to lose both our offensive and defensive coordinator. Now, a good thing is offensively, we can bring back another Eagles offensive mind. Defensively, can we get another Eagles? That'd be nice. No, but we do have Buffalo. I don't hate adding that. But the last couple rebuilds we've done, when we lose our coordinators, our team magically sucks so much the next season. And I had someone in the comments being like, is it because you lose like the upgrades? I don't think so, because look, I have 140 some points, so I'm going to be able to flush out both the OC and DC's trees relatively close, like at least 50% of where the OCs and DCs that we lost were. And I don't know. I don't think that's been the issue. I think there's just something under the hood that's like, you're going to magically suck. So let's just keep an eye on it. 16-1 this year. Obviously, we're probably not going to go 16-1 next year, even though we are going to be running it back with a 90 overall team. But it'll be interesting to see, like, if we go like 9-8, 10-7, something like that. I will continue to throw fuel on the fire that losing your coordinators has a massive impact on the sim. For our contracts, we're going to decline the 5th-year option on Drew Allar, which, I mean, we got to pay Drew Allar, we got to pay Luther Bird next year. We have Chase Young, who honestly is deserving of a contract extension, but like, I only have enough for a year. So actually, I wonder if we hit him with this, if we franchise tag him again, just keep franchise tagging him to death. I think we do. I think that's, yeah, absolutely. Give him the Kirk Cousins treatment. Decent enough free agency period, especially for our team where we just need like a guy or two to get over the hump. But, you know, we got to pay Burden and Drew Allar. That's going to be all of our salary cap. We might not even have it enough. Now, it's kind of hard not to view the landscape right now of our team of like, we're going all in next season. Hampton's now an X factor. Fannin is now a superstar. So like, these rookies that we've been able to bring in have absolutely panned out. As far as needs, if you're looking at our offense, I mean, McCoy is the old head of the group, so backup center. But I mean, Ramirez kind of just backup interior lineman, 6 linemen. Olave's getting old. He's regressing. So, you know, if there's a baller at wide receiver, we're picking at 31. We could consider that. Always could use another linebacker into the mix. We also likely are going towards the final year of Chase Young. I don't think we'll franchise tag him again. I think the regression is going to hit pretty harshly next offseason. So another pass rusher. That's kind of where I also looked at corner because Adebo coming off a great year. We need, you know, to get another corner, a successor there. So like, it is a good spot for our team that like maybe you could make the argument of starting linebacker. But we are generally in the area of like, we just need successors in place. Guys that, squad players that could go on and help us for future success. But on the same regard, when you think like that, I also think we're going to win the Super Bowl next year and it'll be the final year of the rebuild. So you're in a really, really weird spot between going BPA and going, you know, getting insurance for other spots. Now, my focus scout this year was corner. And unfortunately, just not much there. Weren't able to get the full 100%. It's on me for not min-maxing my scouts. The one corner that I did like off the board, we have Eric Crockett. Doesn't look terrible, but I mean, also there's just no studs. And sometimes you get great rolls for the corners that are available. This guy, these two guys might not be terrible. Wilkins, C-man, B-press, B-man, C-press. So might be able to wait there. Secondary need, pass rushers. Yeah, well, hey, not every time I focus scout a player, I get someone good. I had Nasir Royals here, second rounder, that had B finesse move. I mean, that's the same way we found our X Factor last year. Thought we could go back to that well. Did not get that. Same thing with the Harrison. Day 3 pick. Jesus Christ, man. Absolute garbage available for the fellas. What about wide receiver? Is there a blind pick? I did not scout the wide receiver. So let's see. Do we have anybody that has like an A, B catching traffic, C catching, A spec catch? He's 6'2", 222. Do you run like a 4.3? That might be our blind pick. We only got 20 seconds left. Let's look quickly here to make sure there's not like the 4.2 guy that has A deep route running. Ooh. Of course he exists. Fuck. I will double dip. I'm going to get this guy, and I'll make sure I get the 4-2 guy. Brandon Clemens, blind pick, panic pick, clock ticking down, 44, true value at 31. Don't hate it, but no dev trade. I mean, we're properly punished for not having a great grasp of our board here. Fuck. Ooh. Oh, my God. I can't get dev trades. I waited too long to get the fucking speedy wide receiver. Sim this draft. Bullshit draft. Garbage fucking draft. Like, this is the kind of draft where I'm we almost deserve to be not win the Super Bowl next year, so that I have literally nothing fucking, pardon my French, coming in through the pipeline. This was a terrible, I mean, still the players not too bad. Stanley 70, 69 for Wilkins, 73 for Clemens. I think the Patriots took the speedy wide receiver. Big deal, yep. That's who we wanted. And what, does he have a dev trait? Oh, he's only normal. Okay, not the end of the world. Pretty terrifying player. I can live with that, but I mean, my board was just absolutely destroyed before we could even get going. The class itself, not too shabby. 82 running back, 81 quarterback, new franchise quarterback to take over for Jared Goff there in Detroit. God, I hope we win the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if this team's going to go 16-1 again, but from a talent standpoint, from a production standpoint, we've had teams that are as strong. We haven't had teams that are this strong that play this well. You could make an argument this might be the strongest rebuild team we've had to date. We're getting everything. We got sacks last year. We got turnovers, interceptions. Our quarterback almost won MVP. Our running back was lights out. We have maybe the most dominant wide receiver in the league. Our O-line is incredibly good across the board. There's not a single weakness on this team. Let's get back to the Super Bowl. Avenge a ugly, brutal loss to the Ravens. Get back there, finish this thing out strong, and not face the wrath of my terrible draft class. So 6-1. I mean, technically still on pace to go 16-1. Just gonna win 10 in a row. Well, let's look at some contracts here. This is not the fun part. $93 million. Okay. Thank God I didn't have to go to a $700 million contract. It's only $590 million. That is the far and away. Every other quarterback contract we've ever dealt with is like 300s. If it's a franchise like Shador Sanders, we've had Cam Ward. I've never had to pay a quarterback that's Patrick Mahomes, my $600 million. We need to win a Super Bowl this year because Ike Thienemann's looking for $100 million, earned it. Lay, sure, whatever. $70 million. Chase Young, $50 million. Holy man. Shocking amount of money. And the Saints continue to maybe establish themselves as our strongest rebuild team yet. 15-2. Number one offense. Defense fell off slightly, but it's an offensive league. You can keep playing on. Now, who's the two? Last year, we lost our first game of the season against the Detroit Lions and then just won every other one. This year, same deal. We lost the first game. We lost to the Patriots. And then we lost to the Bucks by one score late. But I mean, that could put up 63 on the Jet. Like, the fact of the matter is, 3 losses in 2 years. I don't think we've posted that kind of stat line, that kind of win-loss yet in any rebuild. Drew Allar, top quarterback. Omarion Hamption, second best running back. I mean, if you're going to pay a quarterback $600 million, you better be getting 5,000 yards passing, 44 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions, and almost double-digit rushing touchdowns. 52 touchdowns. Can Drew Allar do enough in year 5 to win an MVP? More importantly, can he get this team to a Super Bowl victory? Omarion Hamption, 1,300 yards, 21 touchdowns. We got 15 and 25 from Luther Bird, over 1,000 from Chris Olave. That would have been cool to get 1,000 for Harold Fannin. I mean, just like this. I know people get sick and tired of me glazing the Eagles. I get it. But also, like, this is, hey, Saint fans, you asking me how you feel about Kellen Moore? Hey, just go play Madden with Kellen Moore on your Saints team, and you'll have, there's no magic. We've drafted well, sure, yeah, absolutely. But if you can even get, like, somewhat similar prospects, literally just repeat this rebuild and enjoy. Defensively, Sacks, 16.5 from Chase Young, 10.5 Brian Breezy, 9 from David Barnett, our X Factor. Our interceptions, a Debo with 4 picks. I mean, this is just such a freaking dominant team. There we go. Drew Allar got robbed, in my opinion, of the MVP last year. Not this season. We get it. Kellen Moore, back-to-back Coach of the Year awards. Luther Burden wins Offensive Player of the Year. The fact that we had 2nd and 4th place on the list is, I mean, you're not gonna find a single complaint. Drew Allar wins Quarterback of the Year. Omarion Hamption wins Running Back of the Year. Luther Burden, Wide Receiver of the Year. We have on the defensive side of the ball, the defense wasn't nearly as hot, but the offense unstoppable. Out of the first round of the playoffs, we get a nice divisional opponent in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of the few teams that were able to defeat us. I don't know how. I mean, they get pretty good passing defense. Credit where credit's due. They might have had Drew Allar have one of his rare, not great games. So, I know a thing or two about the Bucs being a pain in your ass. Just for whatever reason, have the Eagles number. But, there we go. Wasn't pretty. Good enough. That's all I need. All I need is good enough. MVP, terrible. Probably his worst game all year. The Bucs and Todd Bowles just get cooked. But they sold out to stop the pass, which is fine. Because if you do that, we will hit you on the ground. Drew Allar with the touchdown. Hampton, $153, 2 tutties. So, it's pick your poison. You want to sell out to stop the pass? Well, we can win other ways. You want to sell out to stop the run? Well, we're going to throw it all over your ass. The Chiefs lose, so you're not honestly going to find a better role. The Chiefs and Cowboys losing, even though I think with how the last 2 years gone, we are, the North Saints, the cheesiest team in the NFL. But that's a great role. And I don't know, I can't speak for Saint fans, but I do think when we get these roles and rebuilds where it's you got to run through your division to win it, go through the Bucs in the first round, have a chance to feature in our 2nd straight Super Bowl. If we can get past the Bryce Young-led Carolina Panthers, it's always kind of cool. Rather that than not, because it's all rivalry games. It's all, haha, you sucks. And the Panthers, pretty damn good. Top 10 offense, top 5 rushing offense, top 10 defense, top 3 passing yard defense. Similarly built to the Bucs team that gave us an absolute problem in the divisional round. We'll auto-upgrade our players. Ooh, look at that right there. Omarion Hamption give him, I don't think they still have the gold gloves in this game, but gets his 99 overall X Factor. Just another. Add him to the list. Burden, Hampton, Allar, Fannin, studs after studs after studs. And now it's time to not have an ultimate choke job with our 92 overall, 96 overall offense. Get 2, and there we go. It's ugly. We're not dominating. 27-20, 1-score win. Drew Allar with a 1 touchdown performance, and I'm going to assume we're going to be playing Jalen Milroe and the Cleveland Browns here in the Super Bowl. And for us, it wasn't a dominating performance. I think that could be, if you're nitpicking, for how legendary this team is. We're not we've had rebuilds where our team's just unstoppable in the playoffs. 4 touchdowns every single game from our quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. And the reality is we've kind of just been grinding things out. Our defense has had back-to-back games where there's not really much to hold your hat on. But Super Bowl is on the menu. Back-to-back Super Bowls is difficult. And given the fact that we just handed out a $600 million contract, I'd love to not have to deal with the consequences of that. But we got to do the damn thing against Jalen Milroe and the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns in this world did not trade Myles Garrett, which, they still couldn't in real life, but I always what do they look like? When you go up against Baltimore, you know what the Ravens look like. You see them in the Super Bowl all the time. Browns are a weird team to also be meeting here at this time. You got Myles Garrett 99, Jalen Milroe's up to a 97. So, we've had opportunities in rebuild past. Do we draft Jalen Milroe? Do we go with that? I think in real life, his stock is at an all-time low. But the reality is we should, put this little nugget back there. There will be a rebuild. At a point in time, we need a quarterback. Jalen Milroe's on the board. We should remember that he can develop into this type of player and could save a rebuild. They got Tajay Spears at running back. Restrepo, Judy, Dylan Bell, and Njoku's still there. They've gone out and completely retooled that offensive line. Defensively, Myles Garrett, 99. They got DJ Hicks, 94. The X Factor, their linebacking core is outstanding. They still found a way to get Abdul Carter. So they're pairing Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett. You have JOK. Dude. This team is sick. There's no other way to put it. That is like, what's their rating? Like, we know our rating is pretty ridiculous. 92 overall. I mean, they're pretty, yeah, this is going to be a hell of a Super Bowl. I will tell you right now, this went from like, oh, it's the Browns, that's a sick roll, it's not the Chiefs, it's not the Ravens, to holy shit, if they, this might not be easy, and we might have to go to year 6, which I really don't want to. But I will embrace the challenge if we got to. But let's not even think about the possibility of losing. Our team's a juggernaut. We should have won last year. We're going to win this year. We're not going to go for 2. We're not going to be the Bills in the 90s. We do have our 3 opportunities to cash in. But I, like some of the people, some of the very few negative Nancys that comment on my videos, like, oh, you hop in and help the team win. I think in a perfect world, my rebuild speaks for itself. The team that I built speaks for itself, and we can win without me having to hop in. But sometimes you never know. Things get a little dicey. We start with a 14-0 start. Cleveland keeps it competitive. They hold us to a field goal, but they punt right after that, and we're looking for more points before halftime. We get the touchdown before half, and it would take an absolute choke job for us not to lift the Lombardi Trophy. Up 10, fourth quarter. Kick the field goal, up 13. Make it a 2-score lead. No shit, here we go. Minute 54. We just kill it off professionally. Again, for how freaking good our team was, not one game. I don't even think go back to last year. Last year's Super Bowl run, not one game was like an absolute ass kicking, which we have been able to do in rebuilds of past time. But man, oh man, we earned it. Thank God, dude. 3-0 playoff run. Super Bowl win versus Cleveland. And I don't have to deal with a $600 million. Like, I don't even know how that works. Like, that would honestly, like, I think maybe year 6, we had to go to another year. You could manage. Because we're just, what we're losing. If you hit on your first and second round pick, our team goes from being SS tier to just S tier. But I think, like, another year 7, if it went to year 7, I don't know how you can have a competitive roster with a $600 million quarterback. Luckily, I don't have to find out. Our defense was outstanding. Drew Allar protected the football. Defense stepped up, man. 2 picks forced on Jalen Miller. I'll tell you right now, though, Allar's not getting MVP. He's not getting my vote. Hampton was humble. Okay, Burden leading top dog. 121 yards, touchdown. Defensively, 2 sacks from Perkins. We got picks from DeRicky Wright and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think, honestly, I think the belle of the ball, if you will, the most consistent, the best player in this rebuild. I'm giving him the Super Bowl MVP, Luther Burden III. Outstanding. So as we always like to do to wrap things up, let's take a look at the stats of what these players were able to accomplish. Drew Allar, MVP, 99 X Factor in 4 seasons. We got just under 20,000 yards passing, 147 touchdowns to 33 picks. I think out of all the quarterbacks, all the real quarterbacks, he's been the best. We got almost 6,000 yards rushing, 81 touchdowns from Hampton in 5 seasons. Ridiculous. Drew Allar, another 30 rushing touchdowns onto his total. Disgusting. Hall of Fame pace. Chris Olave, 7,900 yards, 43 touchdowns. Honestly, role player. Our team was so good. Chris Olave, who's like the rare blue chip player on the offense when you start a Saints rebuild, was a role player. That was because in 5 seasons, Luther Burden, 429 catches, 7,200 yards, 93 touchdowns. Absolutely on a pace and trajectory to break Jerry Rice's records. Luther Burden, what a god. 4,500 yards from Harold Fannin. Thought we also had really good receiving numbers from Hampton, the running back. Defensively, Adebo, all-time leading tackler of the rebuild, also with 24 picks, far and away our best pick artist. Chase Young, 78 sacks, did more work with us than he did with the Commanders. 44 sacks from Brian Breezy, 17.5 from the X Factor, David Barnett. Sacks were fine in the rebuild, and turnovers were fine. If you had to nitpick, it could have been a little bit better on both sides there. But at the end of the day, inheriting arguably the worst roster situation, the worst salary cap situation, I think we benefited immensely from those 3 retirements. I had no control over, but Taysom Hill, Ryan Ramczyk, I did have control over that one, but Ryan Ramczyk trying to follow realistically what's likely going to happen for the Saints. Cam Jordan. Like, those guys retired, Demario Davis retiring, it made our salary cap situation not as horrendous as it will be in real life for Kellen Moore and that Saints team. But ultimately, there still was not a lot of hope with what we had. And what we were able to do is completely retool the offensive line, dominate and land some big-time skill position players. We sucked at the right time. Getting Drew Allar when we did, it was rockets. Strapped the rocket to the team as soon as we brought Allar in the building. Perfect quarterback for Kellen Moore's scheme and system. And this is an awesome rebuild. Very, very good. Very, very happy with how things turned out. I hope you guys did enjoy as well. As always, if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Leave a comment in the comment section below about what rebuild you guys want to see next. I got this one out because my plan is the next rebuild you guys will see on the channel will be another 20-year retro rebuild restart in the NFL. We're going to have some fun with that one, so make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to plan to have that out on the weekend. Pink Slips is almost ready. I'm also hoping Pink Slips will be out. Honestly, it might be out tomorrow. I don't know. No pressure. But there's a chance. We got some stuff coming. Pink Slips is ready to go. It's just going to be on me to, fine-tune it a little bit. But the mod is good to go. So everyone that's been asking for Pink Slips, it is coming very, very soon. But let me know what realistic rebuild you guys want to see next. Let me know what team and what realistic players you want to see. And that'll do for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.